Nikinga Pusindiari Pita Hopi now. Pusindiamia ye doing it. Yana in a jury body. It is a little bit of hoba melo. Unkanja pito. The Varet Chinas says a bit of San Johnny Leve to Chobito Hope Tobame.
In concluding the series of talks on the factors of enlightenment this afternoon, the Sayadaw promised that he would talk about the extraordinary benefits of developing these factors of enlightenment, and also promised to deal with the jhanic factors. Tonight, this is just what the Sayadaw is going to do, and he hopes that he will be able to include a discussion on the jhanic factors in this talk.
What's it going to be? We got them was in her. They be a yeba, a out there, so that they can't take me to your top of it. But you look yeba, out the lesser. Leliomu Sanyamu. Very in the cuckoo, patient and one sheet. Do you have Miera me, the Karaka, Leliozia, Piozia, Tayazia, and a tree? Very bad part, belly to you. The Karakama level Sanyazia. Mozia in a tweet. Edica Jabba no leve semi chamada, do that if she will Edibe Padovia. You know, who bet dive Mamia have seen it. But you look at here, less Ragona the Ubeka Tamosia Mapa web seen it, Mamia. Mamia, who will limited that, develop limited as a Dijara. Luba was Raha. But Tiny Pomecani. I do a tiny look with it, or Ditialia, they don't chat. Ye pare, yoga.
This afternoon, the Sayadaw remarked that this last factor of enlightenment, equanimity, is of tremendous importance, not only as a factor of enlightenment, but also as a state of mind to be cultivated in daily life. Very often, we get either swept away by very pleasant and enticing objects, or we are worked up into a great degree of agitation when we confront unpleasant or undesirable objects. This occurrence is something very natural, because the mind is not balanced. It gets swept away very easily by pleasurable objects. We can also get very angry or averse by things which we do not like. The absence of this ability of the mind to stay balanced and unfaltering in the face of such objects brings about this problem. If one is able to cultivate that very balanced state of mind, then you can be assured of being free from these two extremes, of being swept away by a pleasant object or being averse by an unpleasant one.
ကျမ်းဂန်များမှာဒီကာမဂုဏ်အာယုန်နဲ့ပြောနေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်များအဲ့ဒါတွေရရှိမှလှုပ်လှုပ်ရှားရှားဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ချမ်းသာတယ်လို့ဒီလိုမိတ်ဆွေချက်ရှိပါတယ်လူရဲ့သဘာဝလည်းဒီတိုင်းမှာပဲအာယုံကောင်းလေးတွေမြင်ရပြီးတော့လှုပ်လှုပ်ရှားရှားဖြစ်နေမှချမ်းသာတယ်လို့ထင်နေပါတယ်မှန်ကတော့လှုပ်လှုပ်ရှားရှားဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ချမ်းသာတာတဲ့ဒီငြိမ်ငြိမ်နဲ့အိန္ဒိယပြီးတော့ချမ်းသာတာပိုကောင်းတာပေါ့အဲ့ဒါမသိကြလို့ပါ
ကျမ်းဂန်ဘယ်လိုဆိုလဲ
ဒီကာမဂုဏ်နဲ့ကာမဂုဏ်အာယုန်တွေတစ်ခုပြီးတစ်ခုပေါ့လေလိလလိုက်စားနေတာလှုပ်ရှားတဲ့သဘောရှိတာ
The scriptures tell us that when the mind indulges in sensual objects, then it becomes very agitated. You can see this happening in the world. People get very excited and agitated over sensual pleasures. And in their quest for happiness, they mistake this agitated and excited state of mind for real happiness. In fact, there is a greater happiness that comes with peace and tranquility.
Bhusinတရားရဲ့ဂုဏ်အရည်အသွေးတွေကိုဒီလိုကျမ်းဂန်များမှာဖော်ပြပါတယ်ယုဒ္ဓနာတဆက်ဆက်ပြီးတော့ဖြစ်နေတဲ့တန်တရားခရီးတစ်လျှောက်မှာကျင်လည်ရတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တ attva များအဖို့ဆင်းရဲတွေမှန်သမျှကိုပယ်ဖြောက်ပေးနိုင်တယ်လို့ဒီလိုတိတိလေးနဲ့ဖော်ပြပါတယ်
The outstanding and extraordinary benefits or powers of these factors of enlightenment are praised by the scriptures. The scriptures tell us that if fully developed, these factors of enlightenment have the power of bringing samsaric suffering to an end. Samsaric suffering, of course, refers to the perpetual or cyclical birth and death of beings who are composed of mental and physical phenomena.
ပြီးတော့နောက်တစ်ခုဂုဏ်ရည်တစ်ခုပြထားပါသေးတယ်မာရစေနာပမတ္တနာဆိုတာပါမန်စိတိဂုဏ်သိက္ခာတွေပျက်စီးအောင်သိအောင်အနှောက်အယှက်ပေးတတ်တဲ့မန်စိတိတွေကိုလည်းပဲခြေမုံဖြစ်စည်းတတ်တဲ့တရားတွေလို့ဒီလိုလည်းပြပါတယ်
These factors of enlightenment also have the capacity of pulverizing the 10 armies of Mara.
အဲ့ဒီလိုကိလေသာမန်စိတိတွေကိုအပြီးတိုင်ပယ်ရှားပြီးတော့မြင့်မြတ်တဲ့ဘုရားစာရည်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဟာကာမရူပအရူပခေါ်တဲ့ဘဝ၃ပါးကလုံးဝလွတ်မြောက်ပြီးတော့သွားကြပါတယ်
Thus, Buddhas and other enlightened ones develop these factors of enlightenment and are capable of vanquishing the armies of Mara they thus are able to transcend this realm of sensual pleasures and the subtle realms of form and that of the formless realms.
အဲ့ဒီလိုဘဝတွေကလွတ်မြောက်သွားတော့အပြီးပိုင်ဘာမှမရှိဘူးလားဆိုတော့လုံးဝဘာမှမရှိဘူးလားဆိုတော့မဟုတ်ဘူးသူတို့မှာဘဝတည်ဖြစ်ရတာမျိုးလည်းပဲမရှိတော့ဘူးတဲ့ဘဝတည်မဖြစ်တဲ့နိဗ္ဗာန်တစ်ခါတည်းရောက်သွားကြတာ
If one is totally liberated from these three realms, then where does one go to? It cannot be said that there is another birth, for there is a succession of birth and death with Nibbana.
ဘဝတည်ဖြစ်နေရသေးတယ်ဆိုရင်မကင်းစကောင်းနဲ့ဥနာတိဆိုတာဒါတွေကတော့ဘယ်လိုဖြစ်ကြိုးရမှာပဲဘဝတည်မဖြစ်တော့ဘူးဆိုတော့ဥမှုလည်းပဲကင်းသွားတယ်နာမှုလည်းပဲကင်းသွားတယ်နောက်ဆုံးသိမှုလည်းကင်းသွားတယ်အဲ့ဒီလိုဘဝဆင်းရဲတွေငြိမ်းရာဖြစ်တဲ့နိဗ္ဗာန်ကလည်းရောက်သွားကြတာအဲ့ဒီလိုအနည်းမျိုးရောက်စီနိုင်တဲ့တရားဒီလိုဆိုလို့တယ်
With birth comes life, and old age, and sickness, and finally death. These are various aspects of suffering. And to be free from all suffering means to be free from birth. And once there is no birth, death too will not be able to occur. Thus Nibbana is that which is free from birth and therefore also from death.
တို့အသက်ရှင်စေကာလမှာတော့ဘာအကျိုးတွေရသလဲလို့ဆိုတော့ဒီဘောဇင်တရားသတိပဋ္ဌာန်တရားပွားခြင်းအဖြစ်ဘောဇင်တရားတွေပွားမိရတာဖြစ်ရင်ယောဂပျောက်စေနိုင်တဲ့ဆေးကောင်းတလဲလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်လို့ကျမ်းဂန်များမှာဒီတိုင်းပဲချီးကျူးထားပါတယ်
These 7 factors of enlightenment, when fully developed, has the capacity of bringing the yogi to attain Nibbana. And because of that, these 7 factors of enlightenment are compared to a very effective medicine.
ယောဂပြောက်ရုံတော့မဟုတ်ပါဘူးခုနကြုံတွေ့ရတဲ့လောကဓာတ်ဓာန်တွေလည်းပဲကောင်းကောင်းကြီးခံနိုင်တယ်ဆိုတာစောစောပိုင်းကပြောခဲ့ပါပြီအခုကယုံနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဖြစ်နိုင်တဲ့ကိုယ်ယောဂါတွေပေါ့လေပြောက်နိုင်တာဒါကိုပြောတာပါ
Not only are the 7 factors of enlightenment likened to a powerful medicine, but they in fact have the capacity of curing certain diseases that are happening or occurring in the yogi. The Sayadaw mentioned earlier on that these 7 factors of enlightenment will also help to create strength of mind that can help the yogi to withstand the ups and downs of life. But here we are referring to the actual curing of diseases in the body.
ယောဂပြောက်ပုံတာရကတွေလည်းပဲဟိုတုန်းကတော့ပြောခဲ့ပါပြီအဲ့တော့ဒီလိုပြောက်ရတာဟာတရားအထုတ်လို့ပြောက်တယ်လို့တာမင်းကြီးလုံးပြီးတော့မှတ်ထားကြပါတယ်အမှန်ကတော့မိမိရဲ့တဏ္ဍာမှာဒီကောက Ta cho nên xia đi cúi mà biểu này này yoga đi biểu toa ra, hỏi đi bố sen đi, thu để khám mà mimi ta nằm biểu qua phiền là lu, biểu toa để tao bảo vậy.
If you can recall in a previous lecture entitled Dhamma Therapy, the Buddha, the Sayadaw, sorry. Sayadaw described some case examples of how certain diseases which were pronounced incurable by doctors were miraculously cured through the process of Vipassana meditation. On that occasion, the Sayadaw also said that you should just regard this so-called miracle of curing as a byproduct of the meditative practice. He also promised that he will explain how this cure comes about. So now, this is what the Sayadaw is doing. In fact, these so-called incurable diseases were cured because the factors of enlightenment were fully developed in the body or in the person of the yogi.
တကယ်ယောဂါတွေပြောက်ရမယ်လို့ဒီလိုအာမခံတာမျိုးတော့မဟုတ်ပါဘူး။ပြောက်တတ်ပါတယ်ဆိုတာဒါကိုပြောလိုတာပါ။ပြောက်နိုင်ပါတယ်ဆိုတာပြောလိုတာပါ။
Sayadaw, of course, is not making any guarantees that if you meditate, you will be able to cure every disease. All he's saying is that there is a possibility that diseases, even those which may appear to be incurable, can disappear in the course of meditation as a result of developing these factors of enlightenment.
Yoga level, say yoga ne ko yoga, the music de say yoga, the person diaga, pesha ne vale. Say yoga so that chamu babu, lujin tamete, lobaru yaga, nyamune dodaru, mamana chida, sati body dari, manalumu do hu dari babe. Say yoga di piene, majibili piene da. ဟိုမတန်ရှင်းတဲ့လေတွေရှူချက်ရလို့ရှိရင်ကျမ်းမာကြီးချိုးတဲ့သလိုပေါ့လေကျုံရတဲ့အာရုံနဲ့စပ်ပြီးတော့စိတ်ဟာမတန့်တော့ဘူးစိတ်ဟာမကြည်တော့ဘူးစိတ်မကြည်လို့ရှိရင်စိတ်ကြောက်ဖြစ်တဲ့ရုပ်တရားလည်းပဲမကြည်ပင်ဖြစ်လာတာပဲဒီမှာလူတွေယောဂရရတာပဲ
These 7 factors of enlightenment have the power of curing both mental and physiological diseases. What is mental disease? Mental disease is the disease of greed, of hatred, of delusion, of jealousy, of miserliness, of conceit, and so forth. All these are diseases because when they do arise in the mind, they make the mind very unclear and clouded. And an unclear and clouded mind will produce or will create physical phenomena which reflect the mental state. Instead of having a clear and bright complexion, when your mind becomes clouded by such negative mental states, then you will look very dull and unhappy and unhealthy.
Uttari Pitani, Kura Saibiro, Poyali, Bozella be Siasa China Gabi, Sumes was Shulu. Shua only massically Sajadai. The degree of the Marili Pianito, Tanshina lady, Shushaya the Lugoli. The Phoebe secretary ha, Nijiri came it up. Tanshin Dware. Now, Yunani Tila to the mute Tanshin Lare. You know, Jojo said to people need to the same David of Tanshin Lara. And now Jojo said the area of Messing at the West or Tila Lucy and Tabiro was secretary of Tanshin Lara. Tanshin Lara said the lady, she said, the chain at the chain body. Kurema Chama Kauna the Lobo. You go you than lady Pilla the Lobo. Secretary at Nana, Tanita. And now a sheep go cut the Miene by Yola V solution. The Didia 2 Chakauna there. I think I never cut the dealer. Uria level Nina Pilla. Knit the eye the BD level. For an ABD body, I'm going to be the Pilla. Guosi by Ejanari. Guosi by Ejanari, but that is the Pilla, Sanyan at the ball. Dreamy Melly Sanyan, she would order the letter of Canada. Say Dinimu, the Marita was in 11 to which I have seen it. A 2 hours in Ugatam was in Kayala solution. Sanyan, let me see you, Lelio at the ball, let me see you. Pempianida. Either to charger. The Ayadari, Twilavi solution. Kurega, Lepani, the Twitati ha. A 2 chila, the Resover.
Being invaded by such negative tendencies of mind is very much like breathing in polluted air. When you breathe in dirty and polluted air, you will become ill. It has an effect on your body system. On the other hand, if you are being very effortful and trying to activate a penetrative mindfulness from moment to moment onto the object of observation, then very naturally the mind will be able to stay in the object of observation without scattering or dissipating. There is samadhi there, there is concentration. The mind is one-pointed and staying on a particular object without scattering. When this is done for some period of time, the mind becomes cleansed of the hindrances of various kilesas or negative tendencies of mind. When this happens, when there is mindfulness and good concentration going, wisdom will begin to unfold. There is an insight into mind and matter, at which point the mind becomes even purer. It's like breathing in clean and fresh air after returning home, perhaps from the hustle and bustle of the city atmosphere. It's like the first sniff of fresh air. And as you deepen the practice and the mind gains an insight into how these mental and physical phenomena are related by way of cause and effect, it's like taking another whiff. Your mind becomes even more fresh and clean. But not stopping there, but going on, then you will also take another step to see that all these conditioned phenomena of mind and matter exhibit the characteristics of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. This can be very freeing, for it is an insight into a very profound aspect of reality. The mind at this point becomes extraordinarily clear, lucid, and fresh. With continued practice, the minds begin to get even sharper, and objects are seen in a clearer fashion as they come and go from second to second, from moment to moment, in an endless dream, arising and passing away without end. Of course, this is the beginning of real good practice. With further development of this penetrative quality of mindfulness and the deepening of concentration, insight will continue to unfold one after another. It is mindfulness which will bring about concentration, which will bring about insight, at which point things become very, very clear, how they arise and pass away from moment to moment without stop. There are no doubts at all as to the true nature of what can be directly experienced. There can also be a certain upsurge of energy, for the practice is going on well, and sometimes, indeed, you could even experience a sort of effortless effort, whereby the mindfulness would seem to be going on by its own, that there's no one there trying to make an effort to be mindful. It's like it's suddenly switched on to automatic pilot. One can also be filled with a lot of joy and rapture in seeing this purity of mind, as well as the secret of reality unfolding of itself from moment to moment. It can be very exhilarating. It can be a tremendous joy and happiness to see this. This is the effort factor of enlightenment. That brings about rapture, which is also another factor of enlightenment. As the mind becomes really very rapturous and joyful, then it is free from concerns and free from worries and doubts. And this passes on into a phase of tranquility. Out of joy is born tranquility and peace. And in this phase, things become even clearer and more lucid. Tranquility and peace can also be very helpful for deepening concentration. When you're peaceful and tranquil and free from worries and concerns, you can very easily focus your mind on what is happening. And at this particular stage, samadhi or concentration becomes very, very firm and one-pointed. It is super precise as it goes from one object to another, penetrating right into the core of what is actually happening. Concentration, again, is very conducive for the development of equanimity. And this is a deep level of practice where you can really experience for yourself a balance of mind, a real equilibrium, where the mind is not swept away by any sort of pleasant sensations, even rapture or joy or happiness. The mind is neither agitated by any sort of unpleasant objects. There is neither opposition or dislike or whatever object that arises. Neither is there attachment to anything that arises, which is present, which is pleasant.
အဲ့ဒီဘောဇဉ်တရားတွေအစွမ်းကြောင့်ဒီသွေးတွေဟာထူးထူးခြားခြားကြီးလာတော့အဲ့ဒီသွေးအကြည်ဓာတ်တွေဒီကုလုံးလဲပတ်တော့တာပဲ blood circulation ဆိုတာပေါ့လေတော့ဒီကုလုံးအဲ့ဒါတွေရလာတာဒါဘောဇဉ်တရားတွေကလည်းပဲအချိန်ပြင်းပြင်းနဲ့စက္ကစက္ကဖြစ်နေတော့သူ့ကြည်တတ်တယ်လည်းပဲစက္ကစက္ကအချိန်နဲ့သွားနေတာပဲအခုမီးလုံးကိုခလုတ်နှိပ်လိုက်တဲ့အခါကျတော့တက်ကြီးကနေပြီးတော့ကျက်စစ်တာအားလေးတွေကစက္ကစက္ကသွားနေတော့မီးလုံးလင်းနေတယ်လို့ပေါ့လေသူ့ကြည်တတ်တယ်လည်းပဲစက္ကစက္ကလင်းနေတာပဲသွားနေတာပဲအဲ့လိုအသွေးကြည်တတ်ပြတ်နှက်ခံရတဲ့ရုပ်တွေဟာတဲ့မျက်စိရုပ်တွေနားရုပ်တွေနှာခေါင်းရုပ်တွေပေါ့လေဒါတွေကြီးလာတတ်တယ်ပြီးတော့အဆင်းရုပ်တွေလည်းပဲထူးခြားကြီးလာတတ်တယ်အတန်တွေလည်းပဲကောင်းလာတတ်တယ်ဒီမှာဥပါဒရုပ်တွေထူးခြားခြားတန်ရှင်းလာတတ်တယ်ဒီလိုကျန်ငံများမှာဆိုပါတယ်
What has just been described is the mental activity going on. But while these 7 factors of enlightenment are being developed as mental qualities, they also have an effect on the body. As you all know, the mind is intricately connected to the body. When the mind becomes really pure and suffused with these factors of enlightenment, it will have the power and capacity to create or produce very pure blood. It has a tremendous effect on the blood system. It has a tremendous effect on the quality of blood that is happening in the body. A purified mind produces purified blood. And once the blood becomes really clear and purified, and it starts to circulate throughout the whole body, then it will permeate into the various sense organs. The eye organ, the ears, the nostrils, the body, and so forth. All of these become permeated with super clear and pure blood. The scriptures tell us that at this stage of practice, one's perceptions become heightened. There is a heightened experience at the sense doors. You can see objects, for example, visual objects, to be really very brilliant and clear in a way that you have never experienced before prior to your meditation. You begin to hear sounds in a super clear way, very lucid and clear and perfect. So too, with sensations that can be felt through the body, as well as the other senses that can be sensed to the respective sense doors.
တွေ့ရလည်းပဲအထူးကြည့်တော့ဒီစင်းတွေကလည်းတောက်တောက်ပါဖြစ်လာတော့ဒီမှာအလင်းရောင်တွေပါထွက်လာတာလင်းတာတကယ်လင်းတာတချို့များတစ်ခါလုံးမှလင်းနေတာအဲ့လောက်ထိဖြစ်တာ Edi kajaro I tata tiyari boli. Jidarariyo, yundarariyo, ai filarabe. Idia atulu dilu pita sarawali, ai tata tiyari pita. Piro kuyosiba povarari, kuyosiba nunyanari, kuyosiba kanyare the body, kangane the body. You know, Tashi Tainari, Tainai and let a canary lutiala or body. The night and later, Singavani, Menendez, Hello, Siala or body, Edru Pilada. You know, Kuyosiba, Chong Sin at the body, to reach Aja, Tiaya, that you eat, people. You know, go see the lepo, Wabi, Nunyani, Visera. The Goa Yoga Howdy, Piao Valu, Gain Valu, what he looks at about him. Now, my little divine matter, machine like the who no tapai, Ubadan Pite Kajama, Yoga, Kong Shin is a tate about it.
When such a very pure and clear blood is circulating to the body, it becomes very brilliant and luminous due to its purity. There is literally light that is emitted from the body. There are cases of yogis who experience this light emanating from the body, filling up the whole room with light at night. There is this light or luminosity is also experienced in the mind. The mind becomes really bright and clear, giving rise to clear faith, bright faith, as well as the faith of confidence and believing in your actual experience of what is happening.
Uriya Nyamanga Sabi or Tabaiti Vidula.
This clear faith and faith of confidence will also bring about certain changes in the body and mind. The mind becomes extremely light and agile in doing its work. And the body too becomes so light that sometimes you feel as though it's floating up in the air. Sometimes you're flying. The body becomes light and real soft, velvet soft, and really very subtle. Sometimes it's not, it's almost imperceptible. At this point of practice, some yogis can really sit for extended periods of time, very long, 3-4 hours, without having to shift their postures. The bodies have become so light, and there's a total absence of any pain that they can go on sitting forever, so they think. Posture becomes really very firm and steady, while really very light and subtle. And time flies. Sometimes you sit for 3 hours and you think that maybe it's only 15 minutes. Now when all these things are happening in the body, the old diseases or incurable ailments are also affected by these activities. They become less obvious, and the curing process is going on while all these things are happening. However, when one is only at the stage of insight into the arising and passing away of phenomena, this curing process of diseases is not really very apparent yet. It is only when one makes further progress and is able to touch deeper levels of practice that this total relief or cure will become prominent.
ဒီဥရိယပြညာပိုင်းကြမှာဝိဇ္ဇင်တရားတွေစရတဲ့သဘောကတော့သူရဲ့ရှေ့ပိုင်းဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်သမထဉာဏ်မှာရှိမှဆဲမှာပေါ်လာပြီးနောက်ပျောက်ပျောက်သွားတာကိုတွေ့ရလို့မမြဲတဲ့တရားတွေဆင်းရဲတဲ့သူသဘောတိုက်သူဖြစ်တဲ့တရားတွေလို့ဒီလိုသုံးသပ်ဆင်ញင်မှုသဘောကျပြီးတော့သုံးသပ်ဆင်ញင်မှုဝိတဝိစာရတွေကများတယ်များတော့စိတ်ကသိမကြည်သေးဘူးတတ္တတရားလည်းသိမဖြစ်သေးဘူးပီတိတို့ဘာလို့ကလည်းသိမဖြစ်သေးဘူးဒီအပိုင်းရောက်လာတဲ့ခါကျမှအထူးထူးခြားခြားဖြစ်လာတာမစင်ញင်တော့ပဲနဲ့မှတ်ယုံတာမှတ်နေရမှာအလင်းရောင်တို့ပီတိတို့ပတ္တတိဒုက္ခတို့အစရှိတဲ့တရားရတာတို့များတွေ့ပြီးတော့ပေါ်မှုပြောင်းမှုဖြစ်မှုပြတ်မှုပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါဒီမှတ်တည်နေတဲ့နှုသောဥရိယဗျာဉာဏ်ပိုင်းရောက်လာတဲ့ခါကျမှစပြီးတော့ဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါမှဒုတိယဇန်စပါပြီဥပဒနာဒုတိယဇန်ပေါ့လေ
Strictly speaking, these factors of enlightenment start to happen only when one attains to the level of insight into the arising and passing away of phenomena. Prior to that attainment, one is at a lower level of insight. One is looking very intently, noting very carefully objects as they arise, hang around for a while, and then pass away. And seeing these moments of disappearance, of dissolution, brings about a lot of reflective insights. You begin to appreciate that whatever object that your mindfulness falls on arises and passes away, arises and passes away. You are really impressed that this is really true, it is impermanent. You're seeing the actual passing away of phenomena which has arisen. Because there is so much reflective thinking going on, so there is a lot of initial application and a lot of discursive thinking. And therefore, there is still not enough space for rapture or tranquility or happiness to arise. It's too crowded with too much thinking. So this is the first Vipassana jhana. The first Vipassana jhana occurs at the insight before insight into arising and passing away of phenomena. Now, but when one goes beyond that, you grow up from your childhood of reflective thinking, and very obediently succumb to bare attention. Then you can begin to see more clearly at a faster rate how phenomena arises and passes away from moment to moment. Because your mindfulness has been sharpened and there is less discursive thinking, you are able to focus much more precisely on what is happening. So it's a very quick succession of phenomena, one after another. Very sharp, very lucid. No doubts at all about the impermanence of phenomena. no doubts at all about the momentary nature. At this point, because you are free from all those deliberate efforts and discursive thinking, you can have the space to be filled with a lot of joy and rapture as you watch without thinking in a very bare, in a very mindful way of bare attention, all these arising and passing away. And then you can be filled with joy and happiness. This is called the second Vipassana jhana.
Vipassana jhanaဖြစ်စမှာတော့စီရင်သုံးသပ်မှုကရှိနေတော့အဲ့ဒီစီရင်သုံးသပ်မှုဥဒ္ဒဝိစာရဟာလှုပ်ရှားတဲ့သဘောရှိတယ်ရေလှုပ်နေလို့ရှိရင်မကြည်သလိုတတ္တတရားလည်းပဲအဲ့ဒီပထမဇာမှာကြည်လင်ွက်မရဘူးအခုနုသောဥရိယပြညာမရောက်တဲ့အခါကျတော့မသုံးသပ်မစီရင်တော့ပဲနဲ့ဆက်ပြီးတော့ရှုမှတ်နေလို့အဖြစ်အပျက်ဒီခတ်တွတ်မြင်လာပြီဆိုရင်ထူးထူးခြားခြားကြီးပဲမိမိရဲ့ကိုယ်တွင်းစိတ်တွင်းတဏ္ဍာမှာကြီးလာတာပတာရတရာတွေဖြစ်လာတာယုံလဲယုံကြည်လာတာပဲအဲ့ဒီခါကျမှတမာရိယာလည်းပဲသူ့အဖော်ဖြစ်တဲ့တတ္တတရားရရှိတော့ကောင်းကောင်းကြီးတည်ငြိမ်လာတာတမာရိလည်းထူးခြားကောင်းလာတယ်အဲ့ဒါလိုတတ္တတရားအဖော်ရလို့တည်ငြိမ်တဲ့တမာရိဟာတမာရိဖြစ်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်နှစ်သိအာရမှုပီတိတို့ဒုက္ခတို့ဒါလည်းတခါတည်းပါလာတာပဲဒါကြောင့်ဒီစာကိုဝိတဝိစာရတွေကင်းခြင်းကြောင့်မိမိရဲ့တဏ္ဍာမှာကြည်လင်မှုတရားနဲ့တွဲပြီးတော့တမာရိကြောင့်ဖြစ်တဲ့နှစ်သိအာရမှုပီတိတို့ဒုက္ခတို့ပါလာတတ်တယ်လို့ကျမ်းဂန်များမှာဒီတိုင်းပြပါတယ်
Because the mind is quite congested with all those effort and discursive thinking in the first Vipassana jhana, there is no opportunity for it to be clear and bright. There is no opportunity for clear, bright faith to arise. It is only when these two first factors of vitakka and vichara, these two jhanic factors, are abandoned in the second Vipassana jhana, which is the beginning part of insight into arising and passing away of phenomena, that there can be concentration of mind which will bring about clarity, rapture, and a sense of great comfort. When the first two jhanic factors are put aside, and the mind is more concerned with just being aware of phenomena as they arise and pass away without discursive thinking, then it is able to get more precise. Being more precise, concentration has a chance to deepen. And a deepened concentration will bring about clear faith as well as believing faith, rapture, and mental and physical comfort.
ဒီပိုင်းမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တချို့ဝိသုဒ္ဓမရှိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဝိသုဒ္ဓရှိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်များတော့မှ nene sick lo share. Tiadu yabi lulu balulu di lulet in that day. Either Matindi down now ma, ku adolo pibore, Tia yada ligu, Taya swellani that day. Era ha a twin yet, look over there. Either doing any lucy, she, Mateto, who you ya. You know, the galo Chanda lady, Kauna lady, Yina lady, Twila lucy, Maya there. Mamma lu Diami lucy, and level Eddie Diamigo, Diamugu, Pepsabi, or she tell on Josiah there. Either resolution, a twin me at all.
When a yogi attains to this second Vipassana jhana, there is a very strong possibility or tendency for him to get attached to all these very pleasant and extraordinary mental states. Especially if the yogi is rather poorly informed, is not learned, and is not particularly knowledgeable with respect to the theory of practice. Some may think that they have attained the goal. This is it, like I'm enlightened. Some may have such a deep attachment to the rapture and joy which they have never experienced before in their whole lives, that they get stuck. This is called stopping within, if you can remember the lecture. Stopping within means getting caught in all these pleasurable sensations and mental states. In such a case, then, the prospect of further progress for the yogi is indeed very dim. If you experience such extraordinary experiences, you should make it a point to note or the label or be aware of all these feelings of rapture, of faith, of tranquility, and so forth. If you note them and still you are attached to them, then you should immediately cut that attachment and bring your attention back to the primary object. Only then will you be able to make further progress and have a chance to taste even juicier fruits.
အဲ့ဒီခါမျိုးမှာယောဂီကိုဒီတရားတွေကလွယ်နေတယ်မကောင်းဘူးလို့သွားပြောရင်မကြိုက်ဘူးပြီးတော့သူမျှော်လင့်ချက်ပေးပြီးတော့တိုက်တွန်းရပါတယ်ကောင်းတော့ကောင်းပါတယ်အားထုတ်လို့ဒီတရားတွေတွေ့လာတာပဲဒါပေမဲ့လို့တစ်တဲ့ကောင်းတာတွေအများကြီးရှိသေးတယ်ဆက်အားထုတ်ရအောင်မယ်ဆိုတာဘုရားဆရာများကဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့တိုက်တွန်းရတယ်
Of course, the yogi who is in this sort of space feels pretty smug, and it's not quite proper for the meditation teacher to try to put him down. You probably get a revolution or rebellion. The meditation teacher has to be pretty tactful in handling such students who have attained to such a stage of practice. One could say, for example, well, the practice is not bad. This is a very natural experience for a yogi. But there are many other things which are much better than what you are experiencing now. So if you will just note all these things, then you will have the chance of experiencing better things.
Edru Kamatansia Biole de Kajaro Alina Pitipatari Sayi Diariga Diaya Dari Dwego, Lisinza Aya the Wajani Raga, the Lamma Ve Mayunda Mani Ragama, Lamma Ve, Mabiamani Manyate Melu, Dilu Lamane Lamma Udina Levido, Sevilla Shuma de Kama, Piti Ishani at P. Javido, not so Piti Piatware.
Paying heed to the instructions given by the meditation teacher, the yogi returns to his sitting and continues the meditation, this time being very wary of all these pleasant sensations, all these lights and deep faith and rapture and happiness and comfort and tranquility and so forth. As he continues persistently to note all these things without getting caught up in them, it dawns upon him that, oh, this is the right path of practice. If I were to get caught up in all these things, then I would be stagnating and not make any progress. This is indeed the right direction for me to take, to note them and just treat them like any other objects. When the yogi is able to differentiate the right path from the wrong path, then he is able to continue his practice with greater confidence. And in a short while, the momentum of rapture will be lessened. And eventually, rapture will fade away.
Either Diaya Dari Aya Vidomini Bene, Mayunda Sevio Madeka, Chibu Piamuliriha, Tana Shin Libori, Mammy Vido Tila Date. The D level to Chaja Kauna Date, Nian level to Chaja Kauna Date. The Kamyuma Pemia the Bolidi, Ubeka Boli, Ubeka the Bolidi. Poviro Pida Lavavi. Poviro Leveshin Lavavi.
Once the yogi realizes the wisdom of not stopping within, but walking on, then he will be able to see even much more clearly and lucidly the arising and passing away of phenomena without any shades of rapture, so to speak. Things become really pure in the sense that you see pure phenomena arising and passing away from moment to moment very, very sharply, very, very clearly. Mindfulness becomes really sharpened, and concentration too is very penetrative. This, of course, will also lead to a very clear perception of what is happening, which means very clear insight into the true nature of what's happening.
Nyan tuat la daw. Tati level to Chaja Kauna. Lotamana in Apsila Vido. By me charge of Piata Tata, she in the Tila. Tamzia calling you, but Nanyani level to Jala. Cut to Kashin, Capture Karadila.
At this point, the factor of enlightenment called equanimity is also very predominant. Things are very even and balanced. The mind is not shaken by good objects or bad ones. Then when all these activities are happening, then the mind and the body will become very, very comfortable. There is a deep sense of great comfort in posture as well as in mind.
ပို့ပြီးတော့လည်းထိုင်နိုင်လာတယ်ပို့ပြီးတော့လည်းပဲလမ်းလျှောက်နိုင်လာတယ်ပြီးတော့ကိုယ်ထဲမှာလည်းပဲရုပ်ကောင်းရုပ်တန်လေးတွေပေါ့လေပို့ပြီးတော့လည်းထူးခြားလာတတ်ပါတယ်
The yogi can sit for long hours without feeling any strain at all. He can also walk for long periods without getting tired. Then his body becomes really very pure and light and robust.
ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီအပိုင်းမှာလည်းပဲယောဂီကတော့နည်းနည်းတော့လည်းသဘောကျသေးတာပဲအဲ့လိုသဘောကျနေလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲရှေ့မတက်ပြန်ဘူးအဲ့ဒီချမ်းသာတာတွေလည်းမှတ်ပေးဖို့လိုပါတယ်တည်ငြိမ်တာအထူးအဖြင့်တည်ငြိမ်တာလေးလည်းမှတ်ပေးဖို့လိုပါတယ်ပြက်ပြက်သားသားတည်မြင်တဲ့ဉာဏ်လေးတွေကိုလည်းပဲအဲ့ဒါလေးလည်းပဲမှတ်ပေးဖို့လိုပါတယ်
However, the yogi is still not completely free from attachments. There is still a very subtle attachment to the comfort of mind and body that is being experienced, to the great tranquility and peace that is happening, and also to the sharpness and clarity of insight that is happening. So there is a special caution for the yogi. All these things must also be made the objects of meditation. If you feel comfortable, you should note the comfort. If you feel a great sense of peace and tranquility, that too should be noted. If you feel that your insight is fantastic, very sharp and clear, you should also note that.
ဒီပိုင်းမှာဘုရားစာရည်အရိယာပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေကအဲ့ဒီလိုအခြေအနေရောက်နေတဲ့ယောဂီကိုကြီးကျူးကြတယ်မြတ်မြတ်တတဥပ္ပခါသဘောမျိုးနဲ့လည်းပဲပဲမလိုက်နေနိုင်ပါပေတယ်တတိလည်းပဲထူးထူးခြားခြားကောင်းပြီးတော့အတိတွေကလည်းပြက်ပြက်သားသားရှိလာပါပြီတဲ့ချမ်းချမ်းသာသာလည်းနေနိုင်ကြပါပြီတဲ့လို့ဒီလိုကြီးကျူးကြတယ်တဲ့
Buddhas and enlightened beings have a lot of praise for yogis who are in this sort of space, in this stage of practice. They say that for a yogi who is having this sort of practice going in this way, there will be very good mindfulness, very sharp mindfulness. There will be fantastic tranquility and peace. There will be very sharp and clear insight. And the yogi will be able to live in great comfort, physically and mentally.
အဲ့ဒီချိန်ကစပြီးတော့ဒုက္ခခေါ်တဲ့ဇာယင်္ဂတစ်ပါးနဲ့ဧကဂရခေါ်တဲ့ဇာယင်္ဂဒီဇာယင်္ဂနှစ်ပါးနဲ့ပြည့်စုံတဲ့တတိယဇံစတော့တာပါပဲတတိယဇံဖြစ်တော့တာပါပဲ
At this point, the third Vipassana jhana has occurred, and its two jhanic factors are comfort and one-pointedness of mind.
အဲ့လိုဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ရှုမှတ်နေလို့ရှိရင်နောက်တော့လက်ချီကောင်းပုံသဏ္ဍာန်လေးကင်းပြီးတော့ပေါ်လာတဲ့အာယုံရဲ့အစပိုင်းမထင်တော့ဘဲနဲ့အဆုံးပိုင်းပဲခတ်တွတ်တွတ်မြင်လာတယ်။ဒါပင်ကညာပိုင်းစလာပြီ။အဲ့လိုမြင်တဲ့အချိန်ကစပြီးတော့ခုနချမ်းသာတဲ့သဘောလေးဆိုတာမရှိဘူး။ချမ်းသာတဲ့သဘောကတတ္တိယမှာဆုံးခဲ့ပြီ။ဒါအကောင်တိတ်ပဲချမ်းသာဆုံးကတတ္တိယဇာအချမ်းသာဆုံးပဲ။ဒုက္ခဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ဒီကညာမယစပြီးတော့နောက်ဆုံးသင်္ခါရိပကညာမယအထိဒုက္ခပါမလာတော့ဘူးပြုတ်ကြံနေခဲ့ပြီအလိုက် Tia in a consul pupil dali go be Malu, Kauna, Adikama, Ubekane, Igegara, Suravoli, saying Anapana piece on it, Srudas and Sarah. Srudas and Sarah. Dutia, Tukan Igegara, saying Anapapa, Tatiasa. Ubekan Igegara. Tukan Ubekapyong.
So that is the third Vipassana jhana, occurring at the more matured stage of insight into the arising and passing away of phenomena. Going a step further, the yogi will then be able to see only the dissolution of phenomena, whereas he is able to see the arising and passing away of phenomena in the previous insight. Now the beginnings or the startings are no longer clear, are no longer perceptible. There is just a continuous dissolution of phenomena in a very, very rapid fashion, one after another, going. There doesn't seem to be a beginning. At such a point, there is no feeling of the body at all. No feeling of the body, meaning there is no body form at all. There's no sense of a part of the body. There is only these phenomena, just bad phenomena dissolving away very rapidly in a continuous stream. What happened to the comfort? There is no more comfort at this point. It has been discarded because you cannot see comfort when you are confronted with dissolution. Now from this point onwards, until the higher stages of insight into equanimity of formations, comfort is no longer present. In fact, at this particular stage of watching the dissolution of phenomena, we say that the fourth Vipassana jhana has occurred, and its two factors are equanimity and one-pointedness of mind.
Sururazan Seho Wishibare. I mean, Sururazan Seho, Neneli Jebia Pioma, Liakoyi Pomava. Hello, Chinga Doroli Londavi. Tini Tadia Zama Vekana Yatavido. He wasn't a Sururazan Kama, the gay Yin Gone, the Yaya, the body, do only Shimjava, and the Pangajama Savio Shimjava. The Pangado Dia, so that whole of it.
There is a lot more to say on the fourth jhana, because only then will you be able to appreciate the value and capacity of this fourth Vipassana jhana. However, since we have exceeded the 1 hour, Sada will only deal with the fourth jhana in more detail tomorrow.